Alright, well, that about wraps it up for this one. Jurassic World Evolution 1. Not a bad game. Could have been better. Could have been worse. But as Dr. Ian Malcolm would say, life does find a way. And it sure does, moving on up to the next generation PlayStation console. And yes, this one is also available for PlayStation 4 as well as both Xbox consoles and PC, but no Nintendo Switch version. Maybe in the future, maybe not. But yes, we're moving on up to the sequel, and you're probably wondering, where's the box for it? Well, long story short, I had to download it for many complicated reasons that you probably won't understand. But yes, you can download these other versions too as well, like most other people do nowadays. It's a good option to have. But moving on up, this one received mostly positive reactions, and I couldn't agree more. So, let's get to it. Once again, hold on to your butts, people. Alright, so like the previous game, I'm going to talk briefly about the different modes of gameplay, starting with the campaign mode. Yes, the campaign makes a return, but it's a little more different this time around. It gives you more objectives that you have to complete, and it definitely gets you psyched for the new film coming out. I could definitely see that they're putting nods to it, because you have to mostly collect dinosaurs and do different objectives, and you go through different parts of the world, and yeah, when you play this, you're definitely going to be thinking about the new film with all the snow and different environments that you go through in different parts of the world that's not on the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Island, whatever the hell you would call it. It's in different parts of the mainlands of the world. Like, you go through the United States and stuff, and you see all the snow and everything, and it's just, you can't help but think about the new film, because most of you probably saw the trailer. It seems so familiar, and it gives you that kind of vibes. So yeah, it's all different, having to take pictures or capture different dinosaurs and put them in different restraints across different parts of mostly the United States, actually, and you get those different environments that you have to go through, which is a nice new welcome addition in here. So it definitely adds and gives the gameplay much more variety other than just building the parks, and it actually wasn't that hard. There were a few parts that got a little bit tricky, but once you got through them, it was pretty much a breeze getting through this. Now, the chaos theory, this is where things can get a bit challenging, because you have 5 different parts, which is based off all 5 films, at least the ones not including the new one that's just about to come out, and some of these are easy. If you look at the star ratings, that tells you the difficulty, and the first one can be a little challenging, building the park, and it's obviously, just like the last game, you get different types of stuff from, depending on which mode of gameplay you selected. And this one, you obviously get stuff from the original film, like the Discovery Center, and obviously you don't get stuff from the newer films, so you're restricted to only being able to use that, and you have to build the park and make sure that the dinosaurs don't escape. Then in this one, which is the sequel, it only goes to San Diego, and that's where you have to build the Jurassic Park there. And, well, obviously you know what the fate was with that film. It didn't work out too well. And then with this film, in this one, it's not too hard, actually. You just have to capture the dinosaurs. So it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. Now, this is really where it got the hardest. And I'm not going to lie, like most people can agree, because in these games, in these modes, you have to handle your money. That's where it really becomes the challenge. And with all the constant storms and different roadblocks and hurdles that you come across. And with this one, it definitely comes into play for this. I mean, it's really a challenge trying to maintain everything. And with your dinosaurs, that you do get shipments of them to start with, but once some of them start dying and your ratings start going down, this is where things get really difficult and it get actually very frustrating. I had to try this one many, many times before I finally completed it. And once I got past it, this one was pretty much a breeze. And like the movie, you have to capture all the dinosaurs and get them off there and just destroy everything. Very simple and self-explanatory, but man, this one was definitely the hardest one. So if you want advice on how to beat it, just look up walkthrough videos, and I actually had to in order to be able to beat it. So yeah, call me a cheater all you want to, but that's how I beat it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to if it wasn't for that walkthrough video. So thank you very much, whatever YouTuber you were that helped me through it. I give you all the credit. And then, of course, you got challenge mode, which you could actually select the difficulties and different parts of the world, which you get Canada, and yeah, this is how you select the difficulties. and handling money. As you can see, I just beat them on the easiest difficulties, and yeah, you can get different parts of the United States. Pretty cool, I will say. And this is basically a sandbox mode-ish, you know, kind of, but you have to beat challenges in order to unlock mostly everything. And the difference with this game is, yes, you get a hell of a lot more stuff. Again, I'm not going to get into the DLC, because then I'd be here all day. But the sandbox is the one I'm going to be playing. And once again, like the previous game, if you select this one, which it's best to get everything unlocked to be able to get this. It's how, you know, you have to get everything unlocked on all these different modes of gameplay to be able to play this on sandbox mode. And once you do it, it's, well, you have all free range to do whatever you want to and select whatever part of the world you want to build your Jurassic Park island on, whether it's Isla Nublar from the first film. And of course, you can select whether, no matter which one, no matter which location, you can choose all different types of buildings, or choose one or the other. And thankfully, you don't have the restriction of choosing one or the other. You can select every different type that you want. So, yeah, if you choose a place like in, say, Washington State or Pennsylvania, you're going to deal with the snow and the different weather conditions there. If you choose Isla Nublar, Isla Sorna, you deal with basically the tornadoes and storms, which they make a return once again, and they can really create a problem. And being able to unlock all this stuff, the mission objectives that you are required to be able to get those things unlocked, it's not as difficult and as frustrating. It's much more reasonable in this game. So, okay, enough talk. Let's just get to the game. I'm going to select Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'm going to select all buildings and staff, and yeah, you can select the difficulty.
So anyway, let's get to some Jurassic Park building, shall we? Alright, so yeah, in Pennsylvania, this is actually right outside at an airport runway, as you can see right there, and I don't think this is in the Amish country. I mean, I can't imagine the Amish's reaction to seeing a dinosaur theme park being built right in their neck of the woods. But yeah, anyway, unlike the last game where you have to choose one or the other, where you want to choose old school or, you know, more futuristic and more modern, you can get both in this, which is what I chose. Anyway, this time I'm going to use a different entrance, because I should probably note that this kind of more modern entrance or arrival point has, well, you can make two different paths. And I recommend doing this for, as you can see, I got more path options compared to like I showed you before. And this is a skinny one. You should use one path for staff centers, and then you should use the other path. I'd recommend a wider path for where you want your guests to go. Because, well, this solves the whole crowding issue and brings up your so-called comfort level up. And that's pretty much what you want. You want your guests to enjoy. You know, you want them to have a great experience in the park. And so here's some of the newer features that I have to address. You get most of the stuff returning. Hotels, as I mentioned, best to build these where dinosaurs are visible so guests can be able to see them and has more of an appeal. You get, of course, the emergency shelters. Yeah, as you can tell, there's much more different options, as I mentioned before, because I got both the old school mixed in with the more modern type of designs to these things. Pretty cool. And, of course, bathrooms. Yep, as Dr. Ian Malcolm would say in the first movie, you gotta go when you gotta go. You get the monorail that makes a return. Yep, you can build around the park, transport guests. That helps your transport level. And this is the biggest difference now, is the where you have to build for food, drink, and gift shops. And this is what you do. You get 3 different types of amenities. And, of course, as you'd expect, not all of these are unlocked. Yeah, this is pretty much everything is unlocked here, just so I can have fun and enjoy and show you what everything looks like. But yeah, when you start out, you're only going to have small amenities. You get the medium ones and larger ones to fit larger capacities. That's a no-brainer there. And with this, you have to choose out of the 3 whether you want it to be food, drink, or a gift shop. You can't do more than one in the same. So, best to do one, and this is how you vote our guests in and satisfy their hunger with these. You choose one out of many of them. Obviously, as you can tell, everything's unlocked, but when you start out the game, you're not going to have all these unlocked, but you get a whole shit ton of options here, as well as modules to help improve their experience here and to lure guests in, as you expect. Some of them can make money, but others can be rather costly, so you got to keep track of how much money you're luring in and try to lure guests in and make more money than lose it. That's a no-brainer there. So, things that make more money, and, well, of course, a fossil display, it definitely gives the place more appeal. And so now I'm going to build drinks. So, yeah, like I said, you can only build one thing in one of these. You can't build more than one. You can't have a place with both food and drinks, which honestly is kind of weird, but yeah, just go with it, people. That's how it is in this game. And the gift shop. So this will give the place the perfect appeal. Well, as Blair would say in the first Jurassic Park movie, we're going to make a fortune with this place. So I'm going to sell some hats, and yeah, maybe we'll have a coupon day. Okay, but thing is, with some of these, yeah, I have everything unlocked this time around. With the Expedition Center, as I said, you have to get the fossils to get the dinosaurs, but I don't have to do it this time because, as I said, everything's unlocked. With the staff centers, I did forget to address with the staff scientists, to be exact. This is what you need to be able to hire more staff. Otherwise, the whole staff limit thing will be kind of a pain, and, well, because there's a limit to how much staff you can have in your park unless you build more of these. But you have a limit at some point in the campaign, and in the challenge mode, how many you can build, unless you unlock and make your infrastructure rate, to be able to build more of these. Because this is what you need to help staff take breaks, because eventually, like any other person, I mean, they are just people, they're going to need breaks, otherwise they're going to get disgruntled and not be able to do their tasks. And like anything else, of course, it costs money too as well. So, yeah, that's all it's about. And yeah, the Paleo medical facility, this is a must for mostly injured dinosaurs when they have severe injuries, like when they get into fights or anything can happen with them. And then you got a response facility. Yeah, this is what you have instead of the ranger station, because it has both the ranger team and ACU chopper team. And another thing I have to mention that's in this game that's rather new is being able to speed up the process, basically speed up time. Makes things in the game much less tedious. So yeah, you can choose whether you want it to do normal speed, 2 times the speed, or 3 times. And press X to pause the game. When you press X again, it goes back to the previous speed that you had it on. So, you get the point there. Makes when building stuff takes a long time much quicker. I mean, yeah, it's like Doctor Strange. You have the power of time in the palm of your hands. And another thing that makes a return in this game are upgrades to all these different buildings, and yes, they are very necessary for storm defense and cheaper treatments and everything like that, depending on which building it is. Extra scientists, definitely necessary when, well, you have the man as a scientist. With this, you got task scheduling, which allows you to put more tasks. Yep, like I said, you can send your ranger teams or your chopper teams out and do more tasks than usual, or you can just pilot them or drive them and whatnot. And now for the Dinosaur Hatcheries, the basic ones. The newest feature in this is, well, aside from the fact that, yes, you get a shit ton more dinosaurs in this game, some of the newest features, yes, of course, you can upgrade, like the previous game, and I'm going to put additional bays in here, allowing me to make more dinosaurs in the same one. And I'm going to choose dinosaurs that I didn't have in the previous game that I didn't show you. And I'm going to choose Stegosauruses. Or Stegosaurat, whatever the way you pronounce them plurally. As well as the Gigantosaurus. Yes, this is supposedly going to be the newest dinosaur. Yep, supposedly it's going to actually be like the Spinosaurus was the third movie. And I'm interested to see if this one will fight the T-Rex, but not to get too off topic here. Another new thing that's new to this game I have to mention is the fact that when you make a dinosaur, it doesn't just go one step, it's a 2-step operation, and, well, because I don't have the scientist option on here, I made it much easier for myself, but if you do have the scientists, you need them for both synthesizing and incubating the dinosaurs. So yeah, first it's synthesizing and then incubating, and this is where you have to choose how many of them you want to hatch. So, yep, I'm going to choose about 6 of these guys. because they are very social. And I think about 4 of them here. Giganosaurus, I'm going to choose 2 of them. And one more thing I have to address is, yes, like the previous game, you get the containment fences. Get many different types, and being that, of course, this has different types from both the old school and the more modern movies. As I mentioned before, I know I'm sounding like a broken record here. Common sense would say you want to build the really strong ones for the carnivore, so you don't want them to break out because that would really cause a lot of havoc and do very bad for your park. And these things, as you guessed, yeah, your ranger teams are going to be very busy in this game, especially as I mentioned in the campaign mode, because you want to be able to evaluate your dinosaurs and see how their moods are with their, environmental needs, because each dinosaur has different environmental needs, and this is how you change it by going to adding different types of leaves, fiber. Each dinosaur prefers a different type of environment, otherwise they're not happy and they will most likely escape and wreak havoc. So, yeah, whether it's rocks, different types of trees, whether it's they need the ground painted with sand or dirt or something like that, whether they need more water. Yeah, every dinosaur obviously needs water because they gotta drink. Like people, they are gonna get thirsty after a while. And these things, to a certain radius, automatically evaluate the dinosaurs, but you need a ranger team assigned to them. And, well, that's what I'm gonna do here. And it'll automatically, as soon as the dinosaurs come close to this thing, they will be able to read whether the dinosaurs are happy or not. And like the paths, as I showed you in the previous game, by pressing the square button on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 controller, you can curve the fences and then uncurve them, go straight. And yes, you can also do the same with the paths in this game as well. But yeah, pretty cool idea there. Give it a much more fancier looking design and everything. If you want to get creative, you can do just that. And another new feature, aside from the return of the viewing galleries, which, yes, thankfully both the new version of type of scenery and, the modern version and the old school version of this game have this stuff. I mean, there's no wimping out this time around. It ain't like the previous game. Everything is in here. So, they're not cheaping out this time. This is why I say this game is definitely a worthy successor to the previous one. This is why it actually improves. You also get the return of these buildings, which I'm going to put one right here, as well as the Gyrospheres. I don't think I really have to show you them because you've seen them in the previous game, as well as the park tours, if you want to go old school once again. Get guest attractions, in which you can build many things in here, like I said, you have to get a lot of this stuff unlocked, and you usually start out with the cinema. As you get everything unlocked and all the different upgrades and everything researched, you get all more different things. As I expect to see out of a dinosaur theme park, I expect to see a fossil zone, or maybe rock climbing, or maybe a movie theater or something. I don't expect to see a bowling alley or a golf course, but well, whatever keeps guests happy, that's all that matters. And yes, you can change them too. Like the amenities, you can change them if you're not happy with what you have in there. Alright, and now for the feeders, which make a return in this game, but this time around, they're only for carnivore and fish eaters. Yeah, there's no herbivore feeders because, well, each herbivore, or any dinosaur in fact, as I mentioned, they have environmental needs, whether it's trees, stuff on the ground, and that's what they eat. I mean, they're herbivores, they're plant eaters, what more do you expect? And to do so, you can check their needs either before you incubate them and release them. So it tells you right there, each one, whether they need ground leaf, forest, ground fruit, open space. Every dinosaur is different in this game. It's what you'd expect. It's biodiversity right there. Also, I have to mention, the newest thing in these hatcheries is that you can not only release them right outside of them, and yes, you can attach these hatcheries to the perimeter fences and release them inside, or, thankfully, yes, you can actually airlift them out of there, which makes it a hell of a lot easier, and you don't have to build so many of these and have them take up so much space. Or, worse, cost you a lot more money. And getting back to attractions, yes, the newest one is the Jurassic Tour, which is an open air vehicle. So, yeah, definitely recommended to build these only inside of herbivore containments, because you don't want to build these inside of carnivore containments. Otherwise, that would result in probably number of casualties, which you don't want. So, yeah, keep you out of the job, or I should say, don't you mean extinct. And as well as the return of these aviary domes, where you keep birds, pteranodons, and so forth. You can build them much, much bigger than the last game. Yeah, you can build them as big as you want to. I am not kidding. This is why, once again, this is a much better game than the previous one. This is why it improves over it. I said it before, and I'll say it again. This game improves. And this is just one of many reasons. And of course, you need the hatchery, as well as letting guests being able to see these birds. Well, when they're in there, in the aviary gallery. And with this one and another one I'm about to show you in a little bit with these hatcheries, you have to assign a ranger team to be able to incubate and hatch out bird dinosaurs. And, well, here we go. Another thing I have to say is, wow, it certainly improves over the last one. Look at all the different options of birds you get. And yeah, these look like the ones that had the raptor-like heads in the fourth film, Jurassic World. Remember, they were attacking the people? So I'm going to hatch these guys. So I'm going to hatch a whole bunch of them. And these guys usually require water and rocks for their environmental needs. And as for feeders, yes, you need fish feeders, or piscivore feeders, actually. Yeah, basically they're fish eaters. But, well, how else are they going to get the fish? You got to put the feeders in. That's what they eat, aside from grabbing people and, I guess, attacking or eating them. But yeah, they're mainly fish eaters. Alright, and our birds, the Dimimorphodon, not sure if I pronounced that word exactly right, but yep, they're ready to release, and here we go. We got our birds here. Yep, as I mentioned, they look like birds with velociraptor heads. Still pretty cool, though. And they seem to be pretty content, and they're going to have more of them coming. And yep, just like the previous game, you can get the view of what the guests are able to see inside of the viewing galleries. Pretty awesome. God, it's a bird cage, just like Alan Grant said in the third movie. And now another thing I have to mention, that they neglected to show these things, cameras, or photo points as they call them, and I guess they are there to take pictures or do something. Yeah, they're cameras basically, and you can put them on this, as well as the park tours and the Gyrosphere attractions. Not a bad feature. And also, getting back to editing this ride route, I'm going to have to take out some of this, because I want to show you one thing you can do in this that you weren't able to do in the previous game. You can do the same thing with the Gyrosphere, as well as the park tours, the old school cars that you've seen in the first movie. And yep, you were able to go from inside of one fence to another, but you weren't able to cross over through a path. Yep, like a railroad crossing almost. But you have to be very straight in order to do this. If it's on too much of a curve, it's not going to work out. But, yep, as I mentioned, and I'll repeat it again, you can do this with both the Gyrosphere and the park tour and these Jurassic tours as well. So that is pretty awesome. This allows much more freedom to be able to go inside of one fence to another and have people walk through the paths and have less limitations in this game. So yeah, I can't stress how much more this game improves over the last one. Gives you much more things to build, much more freedom, much more options. You can't complain here. Alright, and now the newest type of enclosure, the newest feature that wasn't in the previous game, that thankfully is in this one, and I'm most excited to see and to show you all. Yep, the Lagoon. Which holds, of course, as you saw in the fourth film, Jurassic World to be exact, the Mosasaurus. And, well, just like the Aviary Dome, you can build it as big as you want. But of course, you need the Lagoon Hatchery, as well as being able to build attraction attachments for it. Lagoon stands for guests to be able to see it, just like in that film once again. So obviously, like the Aviary Hatchery, you need a ranger team assigned to this, to be able to make incubating dinosaurs possible, and yep, just like the bird cage, you get many different options as fish dinosaurs to hatch. But I'm going to go with, obviously, the Mosasaurus, as you saw in the 4th movie, as well as the Fallen Kingdom sequel, and I think he's going to make a return back in this one that's upcoming. If you saw the trailer, I mean, it's pretty obvious there. Yep. Let's get Mosasaurus making. And of course the Mosasaurus has to eat, so this is where the shark feeders come in, or live shark bait feeders, as this game calls them. Best to put them where the guests can see them, and you can also put fish feeders in here too as well. Yeah, sorry Nemo, but I like to say fish are friends, not food, but not in this game. And I should also mention, yeah, you can make different signs and put them around the park, more or less just for decorative purpose. Yep. So old school, mostly, that's pretty much all you get in here. Yeah, this looks like the sign from the first movie that Dennis Nedry knocked over. Remember, before he was trying to drive to the pier and, well, he had to turn the sign around after he knocked it down. Nothing like a little nostalgia thrown in there. Alright, and I think we have our Mosasaurus. Yeah, something's getting a bit fishy around here. Dudum. Dudum. Yeah, I know it's not Jaws, but come on. It's a big carnivorous fish dinosaur. I mean, there ain't much different. Considering they're a frickin' man-eating dinosaur, wouldn't you say? I mean, Christ, it ate the frickin' Indominus Rex at the end of the 4th film. Took care of that frickin' beast after it ate and destroyed pretty much everything around the park. So yep, there we go. And now we can get a view of it on the viewing stand, to be exact. Pretty cool, above water. And, yep, you can even lower and raise the level of the thing. Yep, you can get a view both above and underwater. Pretty awesome. But it's hit or miss whether this dinosaur is going to come by, and be able to see him, because this is a pretty big lagoon. And look at that. That is dynamite. Yeah. I'd be just as excited as those kids were in the 4th film. When they were watching the Mosasaurus eat the giant shark and they were sitting there. That was such a cool scene. I mean, it just brings out the kid within you. It makes you feel just as excited as they are. But let's take a ride on the Jurassic Tour. As you'd expect, well, you get a front seat, you switch vehicles, and switch to the back seat. So yeah, this is why you can't put it in a carnivore containment, because, well, like the Ranger vehicles, it's open air vehicles, and that would just be too dangerous if the T-Rex comes up and, well, obviously it would devour the guests, or any carnivores for that matter. And speaking of driving, yeah, getting back to the response team station, or I should say Ranger team, you can take control of one and have some fun taking pictures of dinosaurs. So, let's do it. Whew. Dynamite photo right there. And yeah, as I mentioned with the Ranger teams, you need them to be able to status check them, and you can do it manually to make sure they're happy and, well, make sure they have their environmental needs fulfilled, which they obviously don't here. They need ground fiber and ground fruit. So as I said, every dinosaur is different with their environmental needs. That's what they need for their environment and to be able to feed off of. So, yeah, this is where it can get a little tricky with trying to mix and match herbivores, because yeah, even though most herbivores don't mind being around each other because they obviously don't eat other dinosaurs, putting herbivores in with carnivores and carnivores in with one another that's where it can get dangerous. And now for the new big bad boy, and well, a little bit of a sneak preview of what you're going to get in the next Jurassic World movie, Jurassic World Dominion, the Giganosaurus is. Yeah, it's actually 2 of them. So yeah, both of these type of galleries make their return. You get the one for getting a view from the farther distance at a higher up view with the elevator, and one for a close-up view. As as well as the Gyrospheres, which once again, yep, it's safe to put them inside of carnivore containments. They're not going to harm the guests because, well, like you saw in the fourth movie, the glass that the vehicle's made of is, well, strong plexiglass. Yeah, I still found it funny how Jimmy Fallon showing the guests, shooting it with a gun and everything, how a bullet can't penetrate it. There it is. Bigger. Why does it have to go bigger? Yeah, I'm quoting the trailer, and I can't say how much more excited I am to see this dinosaur in it. I don't think we've ever seen him before. And yeah, like the previous game, you can choose how many vehicles you want in each of these. With Gyrospheres, it's a limit of 10. This time around, I'm going to put some Triceratopses. And obviously, you've seen them in the first movie. No surprise there. Yeah, obviously they laid, as Ian Malcolm said, one big pile of shit. Dinosaurs, the droppings. So yeah, emergency shelters, as I mentioned, are back in this game. You need them for whenever dinosaurs escape. You gotta spread them out like any other amenities to keep guests happy and, well, safe at the same time. As well, escapes can happen, and as well as storms, too. Like the previous game, yes, storms can be a bit of a nuisance. Windstorms and tornadoes, I think, are the worst, in my opinion, which can cause a lot of damage to your park and be very costly, too, as well. So, when you're trying to manage money, it can be really a pain, and especially when dinosaurs escape. Yep. So, a nice view of the Triceratops, and thankfully, unlike the first movie, this one is not sick. It's roaming around. In fact, there's more than one of them. Cool. And let's see what the view is from up here. Sweet. Hello down there, Triceratops. And let's see what kind of view we get from the viewing gallery of the Gigantosaurus. Again, bigger. Why do they have to go bigger? And let's check out the view from the Gyrosphere. Yep, again, you can drive the Gyrosphere wherever you want to, outside the path line. With different camera views. It's like being the kids in the fourth movie. Yeah, see these badges? We got VIP access. Pretty awesome. Up close to one of the most dangerous dinosaurs. Aside from the T-Rex. But he can't hurt me. Yes, to transport guests, as I mentioned before, the monorail makes a return, and it's best, just like in the previous game, getting back to that again, best to build them over the dinosaur containments to give guests a nice view of the dinosaurs. I mean, that's what this park is all about. It's all about the dinos. Yep, that's what gives the monorail and like any other attraction its appeal. Give them a view of the dinos. And okay, not to jump the gun, but as you can tell, I made more dinosaurs. Added a bunch of these guys. Were also very social, required at least about 5 or 6 of them to be happy with their, as well as their environmental needs, and I edited and made the park safari tour, which again, only is safe to go into the herbivore containment, and made it go into 3 of them. Yeah, that's right. Crossing paths, going into not 1, not 2, but 3 of them, to give guests a tour of their life. And now with several different hotels around the parks, let's see what kind of view we get of dinosaurs for guests to enjoy. Hell yeah, now that's dynamite. Yeah, this is an old school one, and has definitely not as high of a view as you get with the more up-to-date ones. There's obviously small ones, and this is a much more bigger and higher up one. Kind of view you get of dinosaurs. Can't see anything from there. Let's see this one. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A nice view of the Stegosauruses. Pretty awesome. And I'm going to close off this video right about now, because Well, you've seen the gist and basic concept of what this game has to offer, all the new stuff, because I don't want to ramble on too much. I want to have more fun and enjoy this game much more, because you're going to spend hours playing this game, but there's only so much I can do, otherwise I'm going to be rambling on too much, but you get the point. You see why this is a much better improved successor over the previous game, much more freedom, despite some difficulties and frustrations you might run into as you're playing the campaign and challenge mode, but it's well worth it once you complete everything. I know there's a lot more I could do with this park, and different locations and a lot more stuff to show, but there's only so much I can really show in this game. But before I get ahead of myself, yes, this is pretty much what the game has to offer for all you Jurassic Park, Jurassic World fans to enjoy. Spare no expense. So, that about wraps it up right there, people. I can safely say, the first one, you're out of the job. Or don't you mean extinct? Because this one does improve over it easily. I mean, don't get me wrong, this wasn't a bad game, but if you want my opinion, go for this one. Life, as I said before, in the words of Ian Malcolm, does find a way. So, till next time, keep watching, and happy gaming.